everyone, Ace of Clay here. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to another sculpting video. Today I'm going to teach you how to make a stylized steampunk owl figurine. Alright, so a couple years ago, I used to make owls left and right. I made steampunk owls, like I'll be teaching you how to make today. I made zombie owls, I made bad guy steampunk owls, and there's really, I don't know where the owl thing came from, but I started with just regular owls, and then I started making different variations of them, and they kind of caught on, and I always really enjoyed making them, and I thought that this would be a great tutorial to share with all of you, especially if you're a beginner. There are a ton of different techniques and sculpting methods and skills and stuff all wrapped up into this tiny little owl guy that I think all of you can definitely benefit from if you want to learn how to sculpt, and then when you're done, you'll have this cute little owl guy to be proud of. If that sounds like something you want to watch or learn, then hit like, hit subscribe, follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Ace of Clay, and let's get started. Alright, the first step is to create the armature for the owl. I will not be using any wire this time, I will just be using aluminum foil. And I want to make the bottom half of the owl first, so I'm going to create this sort of domed marshmallow shape. And now we're just going to make the head. I want this to be a fairly large oval shape. And as always, all of the materials and tools that I use in this video are listed in the description box below, along with my affiliate links if you want to purchase anything. And once the head and body are shaped out, we're going to cover each one separately with our clay. Today I'm using Super Sculpey Original. To get these nice even sheets of clay, I rolled it through my pasta maker on the thickest setting. If you don't have a pasta maker, you can always use a rolling pin or just even press it out with your fingertips. And we're just going to smooth the surface out a little bit, use our pin tool to poke a hole in the top of the body and bottom of the head, and then this is where we are going to insert a toothpick to connect the two pieces. But not before we add some bacon bond to add some increased security, and then press on the head. And there we go, we've got our base for our owl. Alright, now for the next step, I want to work on the owl's eyes, and I want to give him these big magnifying goggles, and to create these I'm using 16mm clear cabochons. These are listed in the description box below if you want to get some for yourself, and I'm creating a rim around each one with some Sculpey Primo. Trimming it to size, and then just pressing it on, making sure it's nice and secure to our cabochon. And I'm going to follow this step by going in with my pin tool to add some tiny little details. And after finishing up the second lens, I'm going to go ahead and pre-bake these. And once they're baked, they look exactly the same, so we're going to set those aside and create the eye sockets using my large ball stylus. Just going to press out these like that, and then because I want his eyes to glow in the dark, I'm going to use some Sculpey glow in the dark clay, and I'm going to press it into each crater like so. Then to create the irises, I'm just going to use my medium ball stylus to add another crater like that, and then push in some black Primo. Looking good. And then the next step before we do the goggles, we have to put his beak on because the goggles will go above the beak, so I'm just creating a hole for that, adding some bacon bond, and then creating the beak with this teardrop shape out of translucent Primo. Now let's create the goggles. I'm just taking this flattened snake of clay and adding it around the circumference of the eye. Now this step is very important. In an inconspicuous area on the goggle, I am using my pin tool to create a decent sized hole. And this is going to let the air escape. If I don't do this, air will build up in the lens and then the eye will pop out in the oven. And we don't want that, so we've got to create a place for the air to escape, and so nobody sees it, I just added it to the bottom of each lens. Now I'm adding a little bit of bacon bond to the front, and then of course we have to do that little attachment piece there above the beak. Can't forget that. And then I'm going to press on the lenses. Like so. Get them nice and secure. And you can see it created that nice little magnifying effect that we wanted. Now to give this guy a nice little hood, I'm using this snake of clay, adding it around his head, and then blending the back edge in with everything else. There we go, now he's magically wearing a hood. And then for an added detail, I'm going to go ahead and add some feathers to the forehead area. And then let's just add a nice little feathery texture. And I'm also going to texture the rest of the head that's inside the hood. And then for a nice little added feature, one of my favorite touches, I'm going to go ahead and give this guy some plumicorns, just adding this little pointed piece of clay there, blending it in with the rest of the head, and repeating this on the other side. And then, of course, I'm going to go in and texture these, just like I textured the rest of his head. And then to make it look like his hood has openings for each plumicorn, I'm going to add a snake of clay and then blend the outer edge in with the rest of the cap, and there you go. He's got little holes for his plumicorns to stick out. Now I'm going to roll my textured edge of this sculpting tool all over the hood to give it a nice fabric texture. And then I'm going to use my pin tool to create some seams. Now I'm going to make him a little bandana. Just want to get the size right, so I'm going to keep messing with it until I like it. That looks pretty good. Going to set that aside for a second because I want to make him in this nice little leather breastplate thing first. So I'm just adding that on, adding some seams, of course, some stitching, and then we're going to go ahead and give him a sort of over-the-shoulder strapped kind of backpack thing, like a little tiny backpack on the front. You'll see what I mean in a second after I add the stitching here. Then we'll add that little carrier thing. Now we're going to stick that on with a little bit of bacon bond and add a final detail. This can be sort of the clasp on it, so I'm just adding a little strip of clay and then the little clip thing that it goes into, and then I'm going to take this tool and start texturing the feathers on the body, just in the front area though. And once the front is textured, I'm going to go ahead and start the wings. I'm starting off with this nice little teardrop shape, then I'm sort of flattening it out. And then once I get it to the size that I like, I'm going to create the other wing before I attach any of them, just so I can compare the size like that. And then I'm going to attach them with some bacon bond. And once those are on, I'm going to go ahead and texture them, adding a larger, more prominent texture in the front, and then using a lighter texture over the rest of it. And now I want to give him a big backpack on his back, so I'm just adding some bacon bond a little prematurely. Now let's create the backpack here with my fingertips like that. And then of course adding some seams. These really finish it off. And then I'm going to add the top piece and another little clip thing in the front. And of course, I can't forget the straps that'll hold it on. And for the final step, I'm going to add a little bit of bacon bond to attach the feet, and the feet are just going to be these 4 tiny little balls at the bottom. And I'm going to brush the entire surface with clay softener to remove fingerprints, get him ready to be baked. And then once he's baked and completely cooled down, he's ready for paint. All of the paints that I use in this video are Folk Art brand matte acrylics and metallics. Just going in with this nice sort of desaturated brown color. I created this using straight up brown, mixing that with pure black and titanium white. And to create some dimension, I'm going to lighten that brown a little bit and then dry brush it on the surface of my base coat. Then work my way up lighter and lighter until I get to a point that I like. Then when I get really light, I just want to focus on sort of main focal point areas, not go over the entire thing. So you can see the end of the feathers, the tips of the feathers on his face, and so on and so forth. Now I'm going in with this nice dull green color. For the hood, I created this using the color Fresh Fern, mixing that with brown, pure black, and titanium white. Then I'm going to darken that a little bit and water it down to create a wash and get that into all of the seams, and then wipe off the excess with my fingertips and a paper towel. Then I'm going to dry brush some lighter green on the surface of everything and then get into that bandana. This is Imperial Red mixed with pure black. And then for the breastplate, I'm just using brown as it is. I didn't mix anything with it. Then for that little pack in the front, I added a little bit of hot saffron to my brown color, and for the strap as well, just so it's a little differentiated from the rest of the brown everywhere. Now I'm going in and adding a nice dark wash to the backpack, getting it into all the nooks and crannies, and then using the color Lemonade to lightly color the feet and beak. Because this is translucent clay, I want to maintain some of that translucency, and I don't want to go on too heavy with my yellow. Then using this nice coppery color, we're going to go ahead and paint the goggles. And we can't forget that little clasp thing in the back. And he's done! Our little steampunk owl is complete. Let me know what you think of this tutorial in the comments. And that's a wrap. I really hope you liked the little owl figurine that I showed you guys how to make today. I really enjoyed making him for you, and you know, you can do whatever you want. You can follow me exactly to the T and make this guy for yourself, or you can put your own spin on it, change the colors, change the clothes, change the backpack, put a little rocket pack on it, whatever you want to do. So if you decide to make your own steampunk owl, be sure to share your creations with me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Tag me at Ace of Clay, or you can hashtag Ace of Clay, and I would love to check them out. And as always, thank you so much for watching and being here. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and then follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Ace of Clay. I'm also on TikTok, so check me out there, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.